Many fictional and science fictional stories out there tell us that we can change our past, that we can change our future. Examples of this are a very popular movie called The Butterfly Effect and a more recent film, Interstellar. So, what if I told you that's not just fiction or science fiction, but that's actually science? At least theoretical science. And it could very well be possible to do that. So today I want to make a little lesson video on the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth dimensions, and hopefully explain it in a way that everyone can understand it. It's actually quite easy to think about when you wrap your head around it in the right way. Alright, boys and girls, here we go. While I'm talking, I'm going to draw along here so I can help visually explain what I'm trying to talk about. Anyways, we all know about the first, second, and third dimensions, right? You got one dimension, you got two dimensions, and then you also have three dimensions, which is like your depth. Okay, you have an x-axis, a y-axis, and a z-axis, which is your depth, okay? Anyways, so ignore all of that, and we're gonna now talk about the fourth dimension, because I'm pretty sure we're all caught up on three dimensions here. So imagine the fourth dimension as a tunnel. So I'm going to draw a tunnel here. All right, here we go. This is kind of like the fourth dimension. So over here, this is where you're born. Jesus Christ. This is where you die. And basically, this is the direction of time. You can only go in one direction. You can only go forward right now as we are. So as you're watching this video, time is going by, the clock is ticking. You can't go backwards, you can't go forwards, you can't stop it. You're just going along with it. You're a prisoner in this dimension. But if you were a fourth dimensional being, then you could change that. So if you were in the fourth dimension, let's say that we're right here right now, okay? This is where I estimate that I'm at in my life. All right, I'm gonna die eventually. I'm around here. So let's say this is maybe you, okay? So you're watching this video. This is the time you're at right now. You're born here, you die here, but let's say you want to go back maybe to high school over here and relive that first kiss with your crush. You could do that in the fourth dimension. So if you're a fourth dimensional being, you could move along this line and move anywhere you want. You could see the future if you wanted to. You can move over here. That's all fine and dandy. That is what you could do as a fourth dimensional being. You are in this tube of time, and you're always being born. You're always dying. You're always at every single point. You can choose at which point you want to be present in at this time. So keep that in mind. That is basically what a fourth dimensional being could do. Let's move on to a fifth dimensional being. So now to simplify the drawing, I'm just going to use a single line to show what we just... So basically, look at this line and imagine that being the tube of time that we just explained in the fourth dimension. So this line isn't just a line, it's not two-dimensional, it's the full four-dimensional time tube. Now, again, if you are a fourth dimensional being, you can move along this line, you can move here, you can move there, you can go here, you go back and forth, it's all good. However, if you were a fifth dimensional being, you could now start changing things. You could go back to this point where you had your first kiss, and maybe you changed something about that kiss. Maybe you suck, and you're all of a sudden going to have a branching off timeline that's going to be different, because now you're not going to have the same experience with that person. You're not going to go through the same events. You're not going to have the same causes and effects as you did on the original timeline. So that one little change could change a lot of things. It could change who you become friends with, which changes influence on you, maybe in your career path, all that kind of stuff. So now you have a whole new timeline. And it's the same thing. Any single decision that you ever make, every single cause and effect that you ever have, those things can all be tampered with now. And all of a sudden, what you have is a whole bunch of different branches that you can change. Now, the restriction, though, of being a fifth dimensional being is that you can't jump from, let's say, here to here and then to here. What you have to do is you'd have to move along this timeline to the original point, and then you'd have to stay with that timeline until you get here, and then you could eventually make your way down here. But you can't just jump from timeline to timeline. You have to walk along your path, so to speak. So that's what the fifth dimension is all about. This is the interesting dimension that, like, something like the butterfly effect or something like Interstellar plays with, where you can go to a point in time and change the outcome of everything, and make a new timeline. So with that being said, let's go on into the sixth dimension. So in the fifth dimension, we had a timeline that branched off. There's different branches. We're changing shit as we go along. We can go back and forth along these lines, and everything is good. But the sixth dimension gives you more freedom. The sixth dimension literally is all possible outcomes. So we can have another timeline down here, and have a timeline up here, could have one here. They can all have branches. Hell, maybe some of these branches even intersect. Some of them might not. You could be, for example, you could be here on your original timeline, and then you could be like, well, I'm sure that in one scenario, I'm the Prime Minister of Canada or the President of the United States. Maybe that's right here. Okay, so you could literally just jump to this point. You don't have to walk along any paths. You have an open file cabinet to every single possibility in the universe. Maybe you're like, fuck that. I don't want to be the president. I want to be a rock star. I'm sure that happens somewhere. Well, that might be up here. So that you can jump from here and get up there. Maybe you're like, shit, I got in a car accident here. I'm disabled. I don't want that shit. I'm going to jump over here to where I have an awesome life. These would all be possibilities if you were a sixth dimensional being. So let's kind of review that. Here we have the fourth dimension. One single timeline. This is the timeline that we know right now. This is the life that we live right now. Except we're locked. We can't move along that timeline, but you could do that if you're a fourth dimensional being. Now, the fifth dimension opens up the possibility of branching timelines, basically parallel timelines along yours that have completely different, either completely different outcomes or very similar outcomes, but with slight changes. There's an infinite possibility here. But you can travel along those timelines and you can kind of make it anywhere you want to go, but you have to follow those paths. You have to be there for those decisions. You have to make that happen. Now, in the sixth dimension, you can really do whatever the fuck you want. If you're a sixth dimensional being, this is 100% free will right here. This is when we're talking about freedom, free will, the ability to change anything you want, that you're not tied down by anything. Technically, each timeline has its own fate. But if you're a sixth dimensional being, there would be no fate. It would be whatever the fuck you want. So hopefully that made some sense. Alright guys, I hope I was able to do that in a coherent fashion and that it was actually comprehensible. So let me know what you think down below. Now again, there's so much minutia to this and so many different interpretations and everything. So if you have slightly different theories or anything, let me know in the comments down below. I always love reading stuff about this from many different perspectives, so definitely chime in down below if you have anything to say about that. And anyways guys, until next time, and don't forget to take everything with a grain of salt, including this video, especially this video. See you guys.